Wow. I've seen some horror movies here and some very difficult movies here, and this is in the top. That was very, very, very difficult. And I want to hear more about Choose Love, and you you show yourself choosing love when you went up to Alex Jones and you brought him water, and you brought him cough drops. You truly choose love in your everyday life, and that is obvious through your actions and through everything you do. How do you do it? How do you do it? And maybe why do you do it?
Thank you so much, first of all, for having us here, for hosting this, for everything that you do, for everyone that's here. Thank you for everybody being here tonight late. Thank you, audience, so much. It means so much to me that you came out and that you're here. I really, really appreciate the support. I choose love because it's the best way to live. I choose love because both of my sons choose love. And Jesse chose love when he saved 9 of his classmates' lives. And he wrote this, it's not my idea. Jesse wrote a message on our kitchen chalkboard shortly before he died, nurturing, healing love. And I came back and found it. And I thought, that's it. That's the solution. People that love themselves and feel good, they don't want to cause harm to themselves or other people. And if Jesse had the courage to stand up to a shooter and save 9 of his classmates' lives, I can have the courage to spread this message of nurturing, healing love and address the root cause of the pain that leads to not only violence, but substance abuse, mental illness, and Alex Jones. And by the way, a quarter of Americans that were given the opportunity to believe an alternative truth that seemed to be easier. It takes courage to face the truth and then be part of the solution. And I think my call to action for the last 11 years has been, we all have the capacity for the courage that Jesse showed to be part of the solution, to do something. And one person can do a lot. And so this is just my continued call to action to do that. And you do it too, Valerie.
I tried to. I don't think I would have been able to bring Alex Jones water and cough drops. I don't know who else is with me, but you have got amazing empathy, and you are just a beautiful role model. And Jesse followed right in your foot, saving 9 kids.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. 6 years old.
Hero.
Yeah. And we all have that capacity for courage. But that's the courage to be kind when someone's not being kind to you. The courage to be grateful even when things aren't going your way. The courage to forgive even when the person who hurt you isn't sorry, doesn't care, maybe doesn't know. And the courage to step outside of whatever's going on with us and help somebody else. And so for me, I know that became a big deal, the cough drops and the water. Well, first of all, I had a huge bag of cough drops sitting right there. I don't know if you noticed the empty wrappers, but I did. And I had a case of waters also, and it's like, here's this guy, he's got this, I could tell that he was suffering. So I would like to think that anybody would do that. I think you would too.
Scarlett, if it's okay with you, we want to maybe open it up to
Please.
the audience as well. So I have a microphone here. If anybody has questions, I'll run up the mic. The show of hands, we'll work our way. Do you have a question? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much for being here, Scarlett. My friend had asked me to come, and I was about to say no because I was like, it's going to be a tearjerker.
I don't blame
2
you.
little girls. I don't know if I can handle
courage
this.
just to come tonight. I give you credit.
I did cry at the beginning, but now I'm very angry. As somebody else had told me coming in here, that's probably how you're going to feel. So thank you for coming up here and sharing your story with all of us. I did read a little bit about him afterwards and all the bankruptcy and how he's now valued after liquidation to be worth like, hardly anything. And not that money is going to solve this, but what do you think is the best course of action facing somebody who has this sort of grasp on the world? Like, how do you stop this from happening again? And then, I mean, he basically committed perjury, did he not? I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I don't have that background, but like, is that not something that you could go after him with? And I don't know, just my mind is racing on all these things and questions I have. Like, how do you stop this from happening again, you know? Like, him attacking families and going after people who have faced such harsh realities.
Well, I mean, what we did was use the full extent of the law and the court system to do that. And then, of course, there was a lot of publicity. There was a documentary. And so just sending that message out in the strongest way possible that the truth is important. And it really is becoming more and more important each day that passes. And so hopefully that message gets to other people who are considering doing that. And then hopefully we can shift a little bit of our resources, time, energy, money, towards the root cause of the suffering that leads somebody to act in that way. And also that for the people who actually, believed that it was not true, helping them as well to have the courage to face the truth that this is actually happening and then to do something about it. Because if you don't think that it happened, then there's nothing that you have to do.
Do you know if anybody's going to go after the perjury aspect of that or no?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. We don't have any plans to.
Yeah, I can't imagine after what you've been through already.
Yeah.
Hello, thanks again for sharing your story. Did any of the trolls come around or apologize? Did anyone have a come to Jones moment and say, I'm sorry? Or did anyone flip their judgment due to any judgments?
That's so interesting that you asked that, because I can only think of one person that I know of. Nobody approached me that I didn't know, but I had visited, I go to schools, and Choose Love has a no-cost kindergarten through 12th grade program that teaches kids how to choose love as a thoughtful response and how to face pain and grow through it. It's called Post-Traumatic Growth. It's the only program that is focused on love and post-traumatic growth. And I do know somebody that I visited their school. She was a teacher, and then of course she was married, and they said to each other, oh boy, there's a Sandy Hook parent coming to our school. This is going to get really interesting. But I give her credit because she and her husband asked me out to dinner that night and just started asking me questions. I had no idea that they thought that it didn't happen and that they were following Alex Jones. But then we became friends. And we've been friends ever since. So, and of course they apologized to me. So people do. It's a hard truth. I get it. Here are two truths for you. One, that there was a massacre where 28 people were murdered. I say 28 because I include Adam and his mother. Or nobody was ever murdered. These are just bad actors. And you can hate them too. Blame them. I mean, it's a pretty enticing alternate to truth, I think, for people who can't handle the truth, frankly.
Any other? If you could just help pass this mic.
I'm just curious, do you ever get offers to go on right-wing or alternative media, like not Alex Jones, but some of the networks that promote some of the misinformation out there? I see a lot of people going on, who maybe won't air the truth or things that you said that the easier thing to believe, these people want
Oh, you mean they want to question me?
Never tried it?
Never.
Never.
No, they never did. No. And you know what? I'm too busy, frankly. You know?
So I always wonder, sometimes whether people try to get on and they just don't want, they don't want that.
They don't want to know
They
the
don't
truth.
want to show their viewers.
No, I don't think that they want, I think that they want to hold that narrative close to them because it's all that they can handle. And I don't think they really want to know the truth because the truth is tough. And I want to call out Megan. Megan works for Choose Love and she brought her husband. Thank you so much for coming. She's awesome. You're late, even though your son's home sleeping, right? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm just curious. Have any parents in the schools that you go to complained to the school board about your program going into the schools yet?
Oh boy. Do you really want to go there? Well, because there's this whole thing about social emotional learning. And social emotional learning has 5 core components. There's self-awareness, awareness of yourself and what you're feeling, social awareness, awareness of how you're coming across to other people, responsible decision making, which speaks for itself, emotional management, and I see this all the time. There's a 5th thing too. Anyway, pretty straightforward, but some people say that it's a cloak for CRT, DEI, none of which we have in our program. So I have had a few parents keep their kids out of talks that I give. And interesting though, they will come to a parent program afterwards and they'll say, gosh, I wish that we had done it reversed and that we had actually known about this because we would have allowed our kids to see this. So that is misinformation in itself.
Do you know if the woman that co-authored that book that that never happened, and the person that said, oh, because there was no trauma helicopters, ever recognized the truth? I remember him saying, if it was true, I hope if there was the death and killing, I hope that
You're talking about
Yeah.
Wolfgang?
yeah, Wolfgang, that's him.
He still texts me. I mean, I'm in a group text, and I just got a text from him the other day questioning some sort of absurdity. And there were trauma helicopters, by the way. I mean, it's just none of it makes any sense. And I think, when I see him, I can't help it. I feel compassion for him. He's clearly so way off base and not in touch with reality. Can you imagine living a life like that? And he's still going at it.
Yeah, and he even said he would feel bad if it was true, but it seems like he's not even able to recognize the fact that it's true at this point, because that would mean he's done so much wrong, and he's so lost in this other denial, truth. The truth he's able to accept more and encourage.
I've done a lot of research on narcissism, and it's really a story that people weave around themselves so tightly to protect themselves from pain. And it's very hard to penetrate. Possible, but you have to be a willing participant in life. And I would say seeking the truth, but he thinks that he's doing that.
I think you kind of already answered the question in the sense of your compassion, but I'm kind of curious how you're able to ask, how you have the ability and courage to ask all of us to try to feel Alex Jones' pain and then also have sympathy for him despite everything that he did. He is definitely a messed up person, and he's all wrapped up in his own things, all his misconceptions, everything. But to still look past everything in a way and actually see his struggles and just think about those. How do you do that?
Were you able to do it?
I don't think I could confidently say so. when I was watching him, I could see that he couldn't admit that he was lying anymore at one point because he couldn't. And so in a way I was like, I understood, but I couldn't look past it because it was just so messed up. Like, how can a person be so vile? So disgusting towards another human beings, multiple people. And to be so, in a way, also unaware and like, so, I just couldn't.
I wonder what Alex's childhood was like. And you know, I had the benefit of, the interesting thing is when when my testimony started, he wasn't in the courtroom, and it didn't really show that. And so I was so nervous, and I'm usually not nervous at all. I speak in front of audiences all the time, almost every day. And so, and I just was, my hand was shaking. I just couldn't, it was cognitive dissonance. I just couldn't understand why I had to be there. And so the judge gave us a break, and I left, and my son, who was sitting next to me here, was like, "What's wrong with you, Mom? You gotta pull yourself together." And I'm like, "I don't have any more to give. I don't. I can't do any more." And when I went back, he was there. And I find myself looking at him like I'm looking at you. I'm looking right in his eyes. He's looking right in mine. And I just see fear. I see fear. And then I just go really deep. And I see the reason that he's done everything. And it's to fill this hole in him that can only be filled with love. And so many people try to fill it with different things. They try to fill it with, and he's trying to fill it with audience, with money, with drugs, with women, with men, with whatever. And the problem is you can only fill it with love. And so I'm sitting there looking at him going, you can't fill that hole with the way that you're going. And I felt a tremendous amount of compassion for him. And I learned a lot from that experience. All my power came back into me. I all of a sudden found my voice, and that's when I was talking to him like that. And I felt compassion for him. You know, and we have this formula. So it's courage. And I kept thinking up there, oh my gosh, if Jesse could stand up to a maniacal shooter that came into his first grade classroom, I can sit here in a courtroom, even though it was really hard. And then, you know, the interesting thing is, so we have gratitude. So you practice courage. Courage is like a muscle. You can practice it to strengthen it. And then gratitude, when you have a consistent practice of gratitude, it actually strengthens you from the inside out. It makes you more resilient, better capable of handling difficulty. And then forgiveness, which I talk a lot about, because it probably won't surprise you all that I felt compassion for Adam Lanza, who was the former student of Sandy Hook Elementary School. I thought, somebody to do something like that, he's got to be coming from a lot of pain. And by the way, nobody ever really addressed that. He had needs that were special needs that were known, that weren't met. He was bullied, but there was nothing about that in the report. He was neglected. There wasn't a whole lot about that in the report. He was probably sexually abused by a teacher. I don't know that was in the report. You know what I mean? Like, he had a lot of pain that nobody acknowledged. But I saw that. It was obvious. Nobody that's connected, that feels loved, that's happy, acts like that. And then you could also translate that to Alex Jones. So we have this thing where you're either in fear or love. That's what we teach. And you can't be in both at once, just like you can't think two thoughts at once. So you can't be angry and you can't be happy at once. So you get to choose love. And when you start to learn a little bit more about Choose Love and you practice the formula, then you start to be able to not only recognize when you're coming from fear or love within yourself. Fear doesn't feel good. Love does feel good. We're all just trying to feel good. We can actually choose to feel good by choosing love. But then you start to recognize it in other people, which is really cool. You get to see somebody who's misbehaving in front of you, and you don't take it personally. You start thinking, oh, wow, they're coming from a place of fear. They're coming from a place of pain and fear. I feel compassion for them. Instead of getting triggered and getting angry back. It's practice. And it's something that I practice every single day, all day long. And I don't always do it. But it doesn't feel good if I don't. I give my power away if I don't. I want to maintain my power and choose love. It's the best way to live. That's how we started this. We had a question right here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a great question, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
So what I was wondering is if you could like say something to someone who is in pain, what would you say besides choose love? Like if you saw someone that was in pain because of the shooting, like you could just hug them and you know what I mean? Like, what would you do?
Well, first of all, pain is what connects us all as human beings. We all feel pain. We've all had our heart broken. And it's part of the human experience. And the interesting thing is pain has a purpose in our lives. It's there to help us grow. There's actually a scientific term for it called post-traumatic growth. So if I saw somebody in pain, I would be with them. And here, the best thing that anybody ever said to me after the tragedy was, there are no words. As somebody came up to me and said that, I thought, brilliant, because there aren't any words. And so I would have the courage, because it takes courage, to be with that person in pain and just show them that I care and that I love them and that I see them in their pain. And we don't do that enough as a society. I interview school shooters, and I had a podcast with a man named Aaron Stark. And Aaron has a viral TED Talk, by the way. It's called I Was Almost a School Shooter. He has the worst origin story. Has anybody ever seen it in here?
No.
Yeah. Worst origin story I've ever heard of. And so he did all the things. He traded a bag of weed for a gun. He had a plan and everything. And one act of human kindness kept him from shooting up his school. And, towards the end of that podcast, I said, Aaron, sometimes I just feel so overwhelmed at the systems and processes that have to change. And I'm talking about schools, but beyond that, in order for us to find change. And he said, Scarlett, you're completely wrong. He said, it has nothing to do with systems and processes. And it has everything to do with having the courage to see the pain in one another, see the light of humanity in one another. All the school shooters that I've spoken to can be boiled down, the reason that they did it, to one word, and that's seen. They don't feel seen. And that's because they're in pain. And it's hard to look at somebody in pain. It takes courage. It takes courage to be with somebody in pain. And so hence the formula, the courage to be with people in pain, to actually see them, to acknowledge them, to have the courage to sit with them. You don't have to know what to say. You just have to be present.
I think we only have time for a couple more.
Hi, Scarlett. Thank you so much for this. I've been following you since for years, and the Choose Love movement as well. It's really a privilege to sit here in the room with you. I think that what you're doing with the Choose Love movement is the most beautiful, impactful thing that the world needs. And I think your little boy was a beautiful light in the world. And I've read your books, and I was a teacher for over 25 years, and I recently retired. But you said something in one of the webinars I went to, it was years ago, and it really struck me. You said, December 14th, 2012 began with an angry thought. And if we can teach our children how to manage angry thoughts, we can change the world. And it's really the truth. And that's why what you do is so absolutely incredible. And there's nothing more important than supporting our children. So I just wanted to thank you and tell you how much you mean to me, and how beautiful I think you are and your soul is. And I do have one question for you. That chalkboard where Jesse wrote, and that's the title of your book, and it's in his handwriting. Do you still have it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Actually, it's covered now with
Okay.
a sheet of plastic. But yeah, we definitely have. We're going to keep it forever. And I say, like, if I move, I'm going to have to cut it off of the side of my stove and hang it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That message is not something a 6-year-old would
No.
normally say. I believe it was a spiritual message and of comfort, but also it was my call to action.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to believe that, because I'm sitting here 11 years later just trying to live that message.
Well, thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much. In fact, the co-writer of that book is sitting right here in the front. Her name's Natasha Stoyanov. Nurturing, Healing, Love. And I was telling Natasha on the way over, we drove over together, that how many schools have all school reads with that book, how principals actually give time during the day to read that book every year. Now it's being used in prisons, and it's the prelude to the Choose Love program in prisons. They read the Nurturing, Healing, Love book that Natasha wrote, which is so amazing. She's here taking notes on another book, which yeah. So I'm so happy to have you here, and my mom is in the back, and this is the first. I know they haven't seen you didn't see the documentary, did you? And Bob, my stepfather, and my dear friend Missy from middle school, came tonight all the way from about an hour drive. Thank you. Very sweet. Always showing up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Val, for hosting this evening. It's amazing. I have two questions. One, I'm not hearing a lot about the siblings of those who've lost their brothers or sisters, or how are they doing? I mean, that's a wide question. And also, sadly, how many couples are not together because of this?
That's two loaded questions.
It's another book, by the way. It's another book.
Put it down, number 3. Number 3.
I know it's a loaded question.
Yeah, so
I mean,
the siblings some of them are struggling. I can only speak for Jesse's sibling, JT, who was here before. He's doing well. The thing is, and I try to model for him that this whole concept of post-traumatic growth, pain has a purpose in our lives. Actually, we're designed as human beings to grow through pain. And so if we understand that, we fear it less. When we fear something, we resist and avoid it, or maybe numb ourselves. But having the courage to face it and get curious, what are the lessons in here? How is this going to help me grow? How is this going to strengthen me? So I've tried to model that for JT. And by the way, all parents are modeling that for their kids, all educators for their students, and all people for communities. We're all models of this. And when you remember that, it helps you rise to the occasion and try to be the best version of yourself. So I've tried to do that with JT, and he's doing really well. Actually, I'll just give a little plug. He's loves script writing, and that's a big part of his healing journey is humor. So he has 2 series on YouTube. One is called Grandparented, and one is called Insult to Injury, JT Lewis. So if you go on there and you like it and it makes you laugh, you'll see me. That's what I do on the weekends, act for JT. It's harder than you think. Could like it, follow him.
He doesn't want to be a dentist, does he?
No.
Anyway, we could use some funny, good writers in dentistry.
Actually, you know what? It's funny because you guys laughed at a few of the places, and I love that you guys found humor in it, and it made me kind of laugh too. We have to do that. Actually, it reminds me of Jesse's message to JT. The same day that I found the Nurturing Healing Love, JT went into his bedroom and he found this little note folded up really tightly on his desk, and it said, and this was from Jesse in Jesse's handwriting, "Have a lot of fun." And so I think that that's so important. In fact, I say, and I usually end my talks with the 2 most important things that we do every single day, and every single one of us, is choose love as a thoughtful response as much as you can. And when you don't, then you realize it, you learn from the mistake, you acknowledge the mistake, you learn from it, and then you try again, and have a lot of fun. So important.
Scarlett, maybe we can close by just telling us a bit about ways that we can support Choose Love movement. Obviously events like this help, but any just like you plugged JT's videos. If there's any, I know you're
Just so you know, he's like, oh my God.
We're all on
I
our
can't believe my
phones
mom
liking
did
your.
that.
We're all liking
I
your
always
YouTube
do,
videos.
JT.
But I know there's a matching and a membership, and I just want to give you the opportunity to talk about that.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, first of all, you guys have already done so much showing up. It's a courage to come out and look at it. It's late and it's not an easy show to see, and I really appreciate that. Jesse's birthday, what would be his 18th birthday, is on June 30th. And so it's been quite a month because he also would have graduated from high school. And in fact, Natasha and I are going to go home and we got the cap and the program and everything, and we're going to open it together at home. But we have now this month, we have a match from a very generous donor who is matching $250 for every $20 or more monthly donation that we get. So if we get a $20 monthly donation, we get $250 from this donor through Jesse's birthday, which is really incredible. So, and this is how we survive. I go around and I talk, and all the proceeds from the book, all the proceeds from my talking, all go to Choose Love, and everything that we make, and all the products that we have outside on the table turns around and goes into being able to offer our program at no cost. And this was really important to me because my sons and Adam were priced out of the market of these essential life skills, these life skills that enable you to face difficulty in your life and move through it by choosing love. Of course, there aren't very many programs that do that. That's ours. But even the ones that were there, they were priced out of. So it was really important knowing that this would have prevented Sandy Hook, because every single school shooting is preventable. In fact, much of the suffering that we have in life is preventable with these essential life skills that we teach, knowing that's so important and that every child deserves access. So I've made it no cost. And I was told from the beginning, you can't do that. Nobody's going to value it. But we're in 15,000 schools across the country, in every single state, and 120 countries. So we are literally trying to create the world that we want to live in, one where people have the ability. Because, by the way, these are not skills and tools that you're born with. You actually have to learn them. And then you don't just have to learn them, you have to practice them every single day. Does it sound exhausting? Well, it does take effort, but the alternative is something that we've seen tonight, and it's not tolerable. So, so this is how we were able to continue to do that. And so by you coming out tonight and purchasing a ticket, I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much. And Tim Mandel up there and Catherine, thank you so much for coming. They have a forgiveness book, and they have people that go around and speak in schools. And I was so taken with the book, Why Forgive? All these stories of people who've forgiven things that I read and go, oh, how could they forgive that? Just like people say about me. And so we have lessons that are going to go into the program about why forgive, based on why forgive. And it's just two amazing people up there that spread the message of forgiveness. And, forgiveness is possible for every sort of atrocity. Forgiveness is possible for here. That's another reason why I wanted to do this, because I want to spread the message. We can forgive anything that happens, and it's really important. There's decades of research behind the benefits of forgiveness, decades of research behind the benefits. There was the longest study on human life was done by Harvard University, and they studied 3 generations, 80 years of people. It's called the Harvard Grant Study, if you want to look it up. And they actually wrote a book about it called The Good Life. And they found that the key to happiness, is anybody interested? is healthy relationships and meaningful connections. And the way that we get those is through forgiveness. It's so vitally important. And so we teach forgiveness. And I was told in the beginning, you can't teach kids forgiveness. It's way too lofty a subject. They won't understand it. And guess what? Forgiveness is their favorite character value. And when you ask a group of 5-year-old boys that are running around on the last day of school, what's your favorite character value that you studied this year? Forgiveness. And I'm always like, really? Why? You got courage, you got compassion, and they say, because it's like a superpower, because it feels so good to let it go. Wow. So this is the message that we're putting out there. We're putting out this formula to help everyone be able to thoughtfully respond with love. I don't know about you, but that's the world that I want to live in, one that has the courage to face the truth and to be part of the solution. And you guys are, because you came out here tonight, and this wasn't an easy thing to do. This is a tough thing to watch, and I was almost apologizing to you in my head while I was sitting there watching it. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank you, Valerie, for hosting this. Really, I want to thank everyone from the Prospector Theater. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing to work with. This is an amazing organization. And we want to do everything we can to support you as well.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Scarlett, for choosing the Prospector to have this inspirational evening. And if you haven't gotten any of the books and the Choose Love stuff, it will be outside for sale. And so just thank you so much for your time. And hopefully this is the first of many that Choose Love and Prospector do together. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.